What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and I am actually on the floor at NAB, and I'm actually taking a look at this guy right here. This is the Sharp 8K camera. Now, 8K in such a small form factor is super new and really doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you honestly ask me. But they have been able to pack 8K into a camera of this size. Now, right now, I'm actually filming this on the 8K camera as well as my Sony a7 III, so that way I can actually be able to put the two side by side and be able to look at the quality difference. Now, the first thing I think about 8K is, well, what does the file size look like? And how easy is it to work with? Well, luckily, Sharp is actually gonna allow me to pull the files off this 8K camera so that way I can actually use them in this video. So right now you are seeing 8K footage directly from this. Now, as you know, YouTube doesn't allow you to actually upload in 8K. So the benefit of shooting in 8K at this point is you can actually reframe your image or reframe your shots in post, which is super, super helpful. On top of that, this thing can shoot at 8K at up to 30 frames per second. And as of right now, since this is pre-production, they're talking about actually giving you the ability to shoot in 4K at multiple frame rates up to 60 frames per second, which, as you guys know, as being a former 1DX owner, I love that opportunity. Now, there are a couple small little downsides. For example, this is a micro four thirds mount and micro four thirds sensor, so you will have to deal with that, but you can get some great Olympus glass like they have on this right here, and there are a lot of different ranges that you can get in order to still pull off that wide field of view. Now, obviously I'm shooting this right now, so I don't know exactly what the footage looks like. I'll send it over to future Brandon and he'll be able to tell us what this footage actually looks like and what it's been like to actually work on it. All right, so I just finished editing that opening segment or that whole first part, and first things first, 8K footage is tough to edit. First of all, Final Cut has no support for these files. I couldn't open them up in Final Cut. I tried a couple things. First, I tried sending them into Media Encoder and trying to downsize them to 4K, but they didn't come out looking right. So what I ended up having to do was actually open them up in Premiere, basically edit that whole first portion, and then try to then record this part and finish the entire edit in Premiere. And then try to do what I could to try to work with the file sizes. The other thing was that the first time I actually tried to edit this, for whatever reason, everything crashed. My whole computer crashed trying to actually handle these files, which I think I have a pretty powerful computer. So I don't know if it was just a fluke. So far, everything seems to be running great, but I will say that it was tough to actually work with these files. The other thing was that this clip, although it's not a very long video, it's about roughly 3 to 4 minutes worth of 8K footage, the camera actually broke the video files up into multiple files. Now, I'm sure that has to do with the camera being able to process all that 8K footage and being able to use it properly, but I did want to at least mention that. And last but certainly not least, is one thing I did notice when working with the files is that the files come out of camera with this slight greenish tint to them. It wasn't something I didn't really notice until I started like working with the colors, and then it became super obvious. And so by doing just a little bit of a tint change and a little bit of color correction, I was able to fix it. But this is something to keep in mind, that this does have a very greenish tint, especially in the highlights, that I had to kind of fix in post. But with all that said, it's still a really, really solid image. It looks fantastic, and I'm just as excited about that camera as I was on the floor as I am right now when I'm actually working with it. All right, so obviously because this is pre-production, where I can't do a full review on it, but I will say that, you know, having this massive screen, which is something that I'm really excited about and happy to see being put on more and more cameras, that is one thing I'm super excited about. On top of that, they've taken a cue and listened to all of us who've been nagging, but they have put a flip out screen on this thing, which is super helpful. And it's touchscreen as well, so you can do things like touch to focus or actually be able to change your settings, all that with the touchscreen. I mean, just off of a first glance, talking to someone and getting my hands on it, it is a very interesting camera. But obviously, just like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera that I looked at last year when I was here at NAB, we won't truly know what this camera can do until we get the full post-production model that we can actually check out, take out to the field and shoot with. All in all, it seems like a really exciting camera. I'm excited to get my hands on the final version when it's done. But at this moment in time, I have to say it is a camera that I'm excited about, but we just don't know for sure, because 8K, that's asking a lot. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to know what you guys think about this camera. Think about everything else that's being announced here at NAB. And of course, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.